All right, good morning, folks. It is 8:41 in the morning on July 23rd, day 112. Just made it back as close as possible to the Granite Creek Hot Spring, which is not open until 10. I guess you can't really see, but there's like a little gate that was closed to stop vehicles from going to the hot spring in off hours. So it's gonna be about a half mile to get back to where I left off. That's all right. Plan today, hike into Jackson. You know, I never came back yesterday. I'm sorry about that, but I really wanted to get on record about yesterday's hike through some portion of Gravant along the Gravant River Trail. That was, I mean, one of my favorite days on trail so far. Just so beautiful and relatively accessible, although I'll say I'd recommend doing it in the direction I did it, that is from the east to the west, in a westbound direction, because the descent down off of those mountains was pretty sustained and definitely pretty steep. But just an absolutely beautiful day. I mean, a perfect sky, perfect flowers, perfect mountains, water everywhere. It was just a really stellar slam dunk sort of day. Couldn't have been happier with that. And again, truly one of my favorite days on trail so far. So just a spectacular time. Yeah, so today I'm getting it back over to the hot spring. We'll continue west and should be ending the day down in Jackson. And then tomorrow will be zero with mom and dad in Jackson before they go home the next day, and I continue north out of Jackson into the Grand Tetons, which should be a lot of fun as well. I still have a few more chores to do tomorrow, but we'll figure that out tomorrow. Today is every bit for hiking. Some of these first shots I'm going to show you are going to be the hot spring. I didn't really want to get any shots of the hot spring yesterday because there were all sorts of people in there. You know, you just want to be respectful. You don't want to be, it's just kind of weird and creepy and awkward to be filming people in their swimming suits, so didn't want to do that. But we'll get some shots of it for you here this morning as I stroll on past. It's only just right up ahead there. You might be seeing that little cabin thing off there in the distance. That's kind of the facility for the hot spring. So anyways, we'll get to it, and I'll be back in just a couple minutes with this hot spring. Good afternoon, folks. It is 80.6 degrees at 2:03 p.m. Almost 16 miles into the day. As I've already mentioned, day 112, multiple of 7, time for a health update, all that stuff. This one should be pretty easy. Nothing really to report. Feel good. I'll follow up on the nausea, the vomiting before getting back on trail at a lander that I won't comment on again because it hasn't been an issue since pretty much immediately after it happened. I'll follow up on the blisters I described, the new blisters I'm getting. I described in a previous health update. I can't remember if it was my immediately previous or the one prior to that. Those are kind of persisting, to be honest with you. These are the blisters on sort of the back of my heel, where the really hard skin of the heel contacts sort of the thinner, more tender skin on the sort of the back of the sort of by the Achilles or something. So those are kind of persisting a little bit. Not a problem, not super painful, a little tender, not super painful though. And like most blisters, you know, I just kind of try and lance them, keep them covered, keep them clean, soak them in Epsom when I can, and eventually they'll kind of toughen up or figure themselves out and figure it out. So that's fine. Like most things, so long as it doesn't get worse, it's fine. I'll also follow up on my right ankle, which is sort of the perennial issue, which I comment on. It remains that it is still sore, still very, very, very slightly painful, still somewhat uncomfortable, and I kind of go back and forth depending on how aggravated it is any given day. I go back and forth on whether I'm taking ibuprofen or wrapping it up with an ace bandage or a little bit of both. But I try and resist doing that. I'd rather it kind of figure itself out, to be honest with you. So generally, more times than not, I'd rather just not do anything with it unless it's really acting up, and then I'll do what I need to do. And really, that's about it for health. Excuse me. Yeah, head, digestion, all that good. Yeah, feeling good. Otherwise, energy levels, sleep, all that fine. So going good. With respect to gear, I sort of mentioned the other day that I've made a few changes. Just small things, nothing crazy. I haven't done it just yet, but hopefully tomorrow on the Zero, I'll be able to patch a very small, very, very small hole I found on my Dyneema Z-Packs, Dyneema dry bag pack liner. I don't even think it would be a problem, but I have time, I have a repair kit, and I'd rather just fix it. So that's what I'll do tomorrow. I also mentioned that I put in some of my old Thermarest Z seat padding into my shoulder pads. I mean, they look good, they feel good, but I've been carrying an empty pack since doing that, so I haven't really had like a great opportunity to give that a proper test, but I don't expect it'll be an issue. I imagine it'll be just fine. I didn't mention the other day, but I also got a whistle, a small titanium whistle from REI the other day that I'm now wearing on my left shoulder strap, kind of right by where I keep my water bottle there on the left strap, and that's something I'm using. I'm going to be carrying the rest of the trail, or until I lose it, either way, just to give periodic toots on the whistle and let any potential grizzly bears know that I'm here. That's kind of the MO in grizzly country, is make noise, talk, sing, clap, whatever you got to do. So I'll do a mix of shouting, singing, and blowing my whistle. I'll be like a really obnoxious toddler, basically. Smelly as well. So yeah, aside from that, gear's going pretty good. I've been trying to flush my Sawyer like crazy these past few days. because it's starting to slow down just a little. But all of Jackson and all of their like 5 outfitters or whatever completely sold out of Sawyer squeeze. They have Catadine and Platypus and all that or whatever, but I'm definitely not reinventing the wheel mid drive here. I'm not going to change a major component of my kit like that. So if I got to deal with a slow filter, I'll just deal with slow filter. It's not painful. I mean, I've had slower Sawyers, but so we'll see. I'm going to be keeping my eyes out for a new Sawyer. It's probably worth $30 if I can find a new one, but let me check my phone and see where in the world I'm going. Oh, this sign says Jackson. To Jackson, that's pretty cool. All right, well, I don't got to check my phone. Yeah, and aside from that, well, you know what, I'll mention my topos, my shoes. So this is whatever, my 5th, maybe 4th, I don't know, pair of topo trail ventures for this trail anyways. I wore the same exact size and style shoe on the AT last year. And I love it, obviously, or else I wouldn't keep getting them. But this pair, some of the treads are already kind of flapping off on the bottom, which is under 200 miles for the pair. So honestly, when I get back to the hotel tonight, I'm going to go ahead and email Topo and just let them know, like, hey man, you know, I've had a dozen pair of your shoes in the past 2 years, and this one's dying prematurely. This happened with 1 or 2 pairs of Topos last year on the AT, and they took great care of me. They sent out a new pair or offered a discount or whatever, my choice. So I expect and hope that they'll take great care of me with these 2. And whatever, if it's an honest mistake and they're willing to rectify it, then that's fine. And fundamentally, I think what I'll do with this pair is just hike them out another 200 miles or so. You know, I use that number pretty loosely. And then ask my sister to mail out another pair off to Big Sky. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So this pair will have only put, I don't know, 300 or 400, probably close to 400 miles on them. I mean, depending how it all shakes out, compared to sort of my standard benchmark, which is closer to 5 or 6, I think. Yeah, aside from that, feeling good, moving good. If I'm being honest, I'm a little nervous about grizzly country, but I imagine everyone is. Probably no one more so than my mother, except for maybe my wife. I'd like to think she's kind of nervous about it too. But it is what it is. We're all in the same boat. So I think that's all I got for you. I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one short. I will check in with you guys once I get to Jackson. Alright guys, good evening, afternoon, I don't know. It's 5:19 p.m. 90 degrees even. Clearly, I'm no longer in nature. I've made it back to Jackson. I've been kind of road walking for the past, I don't know what, 3 miles or something like that. And yeah, my parents are just kind of across the street coming to pick me up. Today was definitely a great day. I felt like the scenery and everything was kind of a poor man's version of yesterday, but it was pretty nonetheless, for sure. Cool thing happened. Once I got back to a dirt road, there was what I took to be a father and daughter who had passed on the hike, and I guess my sit pad had fallen out of my pack, so they had picked it up and left it at the trailhead, which was about a mile behind at that point. And I was like bemoaning, I was like, oh man, I've already gone like pretty far. I don't really want to walk back. Maybe I could just get a ride back with my parents or whatever. And so I kind of, as he was like, oh, I think I found your thing. Like, I can leave it. I'll leave it over. I left it over there. You can go get it or whatever. And I was like, oh man, I'll probably just try and find a ride up there. And he's like, you know what? let me drive back, I'll go pick it up, and I'll bring it back to you. So that was super, super awesome. I didn't lose my sit pad, and he was kind enough to walk up and get it for me, or drive up and get it for me. That was pretty neat. See my parents over here just videoing me, which is weird. Very Inception. But yeah, I mean, it was a good day. It was a good day. It was a good, easy hike, and now I'm officially in Jackson. I hope you'll excuse that I've been wondering about it these past few days. Technically, I was in Jackson, whatever, 4 nights ago or 3 nights ago or whatever. But I think the way I'm numbering these videos, I'll do today as Jackson, because that's really the day I like hiked in and arrived. So hopefully that system makes sense to you. And then again, tomorrow, probably no video. I'm going to be just hanging out with the folks and buttoning up what few chores I have remaining. And then I'll be back on trail the day after. So I will talk to you then.